I stood at the front window, heart racing, as the Uber vanished into the night, leaving behind a silence that screamed of unspoken words. As I stood there, the weight of the moment crashing down upon me, I had just bid farewell to my daughter Emily and her husband Darren at the airport, the finality of their departure hanging heavy in the air. They turned away, leaving me in a suffocating silence, devoid of even a farewell embrace. It was the family vacation I had sacrificed everything for. A week in the Bahamas, in a villa I claimed as my own, where secrets lingered in the salty air and the waves whispered tales of desire. Every flight, every meal, every rental car, each one a testament to my unwavering generosity, all laid bare before you. Every single cent, a relentless pursuit, a desperate grasp at the fleeting shadows of fortune. In a desperate bid to please, I meticulously filled the refrigerator with Darren's gluten-free snacks, each item a silent promise of my devotion. But now, I found myself engulfed in a suffocating silence. My phone buzzed, shattering the silence like a thunderclap in the dead of night. It was a message from Emily, shrouded in mystery and laden with unspoken tension. Alas, you shall not be part of our gathering. My husband insists on maintaining the sanctity of family ties, shrouded in an air of secrecy and unspoken rules. My heart froze in an instant. What? Once more, I plunged into its depths. It appears you shall not be part of our gathering. My husband insists on maintaining the sanctity of family ties. I stood there, eyes wide, staring at the screen as if it might somehow transform before me. Perhaps it was never intended for me. Perhaps it was merely a cruel jest, a twist of fate that mocks my very existence. But alas, no. It was no mere mistake. It was a calculated move, a twist of fate that would change everything. It was unmistakably clear, a revelation that pierced through the shadows of uncertainty, chilling, a frigid breath that pierces the very soul. With intent, every action is a calculated move, a step into the unknown, where consequences loom like shadows in the night. They had abandoned me, casting me into the shadows of despair. After all that I had sacrificed, after every choice that led me to this moment, before I plunge into the depths of this conversation, I must know, where do you find yourself watching from? The anticipation hangs thick in the air. Smash that subscribe button and unleash your thumbs for this video. Show your love with a like. It truly compels a greater audience to bear witness to tales such as this. With a heart pounding like a drum, I stepped into the kitchen, my hands trembling as I grasped the thick manila envelope that had haunted me for 2 long months. The fateful document that binds one to the very walls of a home, a testament to dreams and despair alike, bequeathed to me by the shadow of my departed husband. Emily was blissfully unaware of the truth lurking just beyond her grasp. Nor did Darren. She believed, with every fibre of her being, that the house was finally hers, a sanctuary of dreams turned reality. But the truth loomed like a dark cloud, ready to shatter her illusion. Because I promised her, amidst the chaos of grief, that I would weave simplicity into the fabric of her shattered world after her father's tragic departure. That was before she transformed into something unrecognizable, before she was transformed into a mere shadow of her former self. At this very moment, my eyes fixated on the envelope, a shiver ran down my spine as I murmured to myself, the weight of the moment hanging heavy in the air. In a moment that would echo through the halls of fate, I made the fateful decision to cancel the house deed, and then, in a twist of fate, it was sold. My hands remained eerily steady. Allow me to unveil the harrowing tale of how we arrived at this moment. Once, the world was a different place, shrouded in a veil of innocence and hope. But now, shadows loom large, and the air crackles with tension. It wasn't always like this. Once upon a time, Emily was the epitome of sweetness, a delicate flower in a world of thorns, passionate and consuming. Indeed, a touch of stubbornness lingers in the air. Yet every Sunday her voice would pierce through the silence, and on my birthday, blooms would arrive, a bittersweet reminder of what once was. We would embark on a shopping adventure together, our hearts racing with anticipation, each aisle a stage for our unfolding drama. Let us partake in the sweet indulgence together, guffaw at the absurdities of life. But when she took the fateful step to marry Darren, everything changed in an instant. It was during that fateful dinner, the third encounter, when the truth began to unravel before my very eyes. He averted his gaze, as if the weight of my stare could shatter him into a million pieces. As I extended the plate, laden with another generous helping of lasagna, he recoiled, a storm brewing in his eyes, and with a voice that cut through the air declared, "No thanks. Processed food? Not a chance. I refuse to let those artificial concoctions taint my body." Very well. Strange and unsettling. But fine. The air crackles with tension, a storm brewing beneath the surface, as the words hang heavy in the silence. What choice do I have? The weight of the moment presses down, and I brace myself for the inevitable fallout. Then, in the wake of her father's tragic passing, they stepped into the house, a haunting reminder of loss and sorrow. My house! A fortress of memories, echoing with whispers of the past, standing defiantly against the storm of time. It was astonishing to witness the rapid ascent of Darren as he seized control with an iron grip, leaving everyone in his wake stunned and breathless. In a bold act of defiance, he seized control of the living room, shifting the furniture as if it were mere pawns in a grand game, all without a single word of consent. The air crackled with tension, a silent storm brewing in the aftermath of his audacious move. He commanded me to cease my use of specific detergents, for the scent clung to the air like a haunting memory. And with a heavy heart, Emily took a step forward, mirroring the unfolding chaos around her. My kitchen transformed into a suffocating prison of chaos. My garden lay in utter chaos, a wild tangle of overgrown weeds and forgotten blooms, a testament to neglect and despair. In the end, my very existence became a tempest, shattering the calm and stirring chaos in its wake. In a twist of fate, I found myself stepping into the shadowy confines of the small guest house out back. The very one I had painstakingly crafted for my sister, who graced us with her presence but once a year. I stood silent, the weight of unspoken words hanging in the air, a storm brewing within me, yet I chose to remain still, a quiet witness to the chaos around. I believed it was merely a fleeting moment, a brief interlude in the grand tapestry of life. I believed they were merely making adjustments. And just like that, the invitations to their lavish dinners ceased, leaving an echo of silence in their wake. To the parties, where secrets swirl and tensions rise, the air thick with unspoken words and hidden agendas. To the grand spectacle of birthdays. Through the veil of glass, I beheld a scene that would haunt my thoughts, a BBQ unfurling for Darren's law firm companions, a gathering steeped in laughter and camaraderie, yet shrouded in an unsettling tension that crackled in the air. They didn't even bother to inform me that it was unfolding. Behold, the mighty grill, a fiery beast of culinary conquest. My backyard, a realm of secrets and shadows, where every blade of grass whispers tales of the past, and the air hangs heavy with unspoken mysteries. My fairy lights flicker ominously on the fence, casting eerie shadows that dance in the twilight. Emily never graced us with her presence, not even once, to utter a simple hello. But the ultimate breaking point? 3 days stand between us and the long-awaited escape. With a thunderous knock that echoed through the silence, Emily stood at my guest house door, her expression a tempest of urgency as she thrust an itinerary into my hands. "Mum, it's all set. The plans are locked in, and there's no turning back now. In a twist of fate, Darren and I shall converge at the airport, where destinies intertwine and secrets linger in the air." I smiled, a fleeting flicker of joy amidst the storm of chaos swirling around me. That minuscule, trembling ember of hope within me ignited with a fierce intensity. Perhaps, just perhaps, we were on the brink of healing. Perhaps, in the depths of her mind, a flicker of recognition ignited a haunting whisper of who I once was. I packed, my heart racing with each item I placed into the bag, as if the weight of my choices bore down on me like a storm ready to unleash its fury. With trembling hands, I grasped the ticket, the ink still fresh and the promise of adventure looming large before me. In a moment of desperation, I purchased sunscreen, a shield against the unforgiving sun, and a wide-brim hat, a desperate attempt to mask the truth. All because Darren, with his piercing gaze, once dared to utter that I looked a bit dry. And so, the fateful morning of the trip arrived, shrouded in an air of anticipation and dread. With a heart pounding like a drum, I rolled my suitcase to the porch, anticipation electrifying the air around me. Emily emerged, draped in a floral dress that seemed to whisper secrets of spring, each petal a bold declaration of her presence. Darren, clad in shorts, stands with a smug smile that could ignite 1,000 storms. "Hey, change of plans," she declared, her gaze fixed intently on her phone, as if the very fate of the universe hung in the balance. "What do you mean?" I demanded. "We're just grabbing an Uber early," she declared, her foot poised at the threshold, ready to plunge into the unknown. "We shall meet there, won't we?" I nodded, a flicker of confusion dancing in my mind, yet a glimmer of hope burned fiercely within me. Then, like a thunderclap in the stillness, the text arrived. "It seems fate has decreed that you shall not be among us. My husband insists on maintaining the sanctity of our family circle, shrouded in secrecy and unspoken rules." I sank into the chair at the kitchen table, my gaze locked onto the envelope, a harbinger of secrets yet to be unveiled. In the shadows of my silence, a truth loomed large. The deed was never transferred to Emily. The weight of this secret pressed down, a ticking time bomb waiting to explode. In the wake of the funeral, she clung to the belief that all her father's possessions would inevitably fall into her hands. Is it truly the truth? He surrendered everything to me, laying bare his soul in a moment of raw vulnerability. He recognized the unmistakable essence of Darren's kind. He issued a dire warning, his voice low and trembling, the shadows dancing around us, as Emily's absence hung heavy in the air. "Should you ever sense that he is casting you into the icy abyss of indifference, know this: you possess the power to sever the ties that bind." Never in my wildest dreams did I imagine I would find myself in this predicament. But now, I picked up the phone, and the air crackled with tension. To Mark, the real estate agent whose discreet assistance in listing the house loomed like a shadow, waiting for the moment when fate would intervene. "List it," I commanded, my voice slicing through the air like a knife. Effective immediately, I found myself confined within the walls of the guest house, a mere spectator as the fateful papers were meticulously drawn up, sealing my destiny. Not a finger was lifted to the main house. The flowers remained parched and wilting, and the porch lay in disarray, untouched by my hand. The couple vanished, swept away on my vacation, in my villa, their laughter echoing through the air, sipping piña coladas with my hard-earned money, while I remained here, frantically cancelling everything. As the clock struck the hour, a week had passed, and there it was, Emily's car, gliding ominously into the driveway, a harbinger of secrets yet to unfold. The house loomed ominously, a giant red-soled sign starkly piercing the air in front of it, a harbinger of secrets yet to unfold. She stood motionless, her heart pounding in her chest, as the weight of the moment crashed down upon her. I stood there, frozen, my eyes glued to the window, heart racing as the world outside unfolded in a breathtaking spectacle. Darren burst through the door, his voice echoing with disbelief. "What the hell is this?" Emily spun around, her heart racing, and cast her gaze upward toward the ominous guesthouse window, a shiver coursing through her spine. In that electrifying moment, our eyes collided, igniting a tempest of unspoken emotions that hung in the air like a thunderstorm ready to unleash its fury. I stood there, unblinking, as the world around me faded into a blur of chaos and uncertainty. With fury in her eyes, she charged up the garden path, her footsteps echoing like thunder, and pounded on my door with a force that could shatter glass. "Mum, what on earth is this? Where is our stuff?" As I emerged from the shadows, my heart raced, clutching my phone like a lifeline. "Are you referring to my belongings?" Her gaze pierced through the silence, unblinking and heavy with unspoken words. "You've done the unthinkable. The house is gone. What you are doing is utterly against the law." Darren's voice erupted from behind her, a fierce command that shattered the silence. I raised the deed high, the weight of its significance hanging in the air like a storm cloud, ready to unleash its fury. In a twist of fate, It stands as a testament to the law's embrace, perfectly legal, yet shrouded in the shadows of controversy. Your father bequeathed it all to me, leaving you with nothing but shadows of what could have been. But you said, Emily gasped, her complexion drained of colour. I declared, my voice barely a whisper, that I would strip away the complexities, that I would make it simple. Never once did I utter the words to surrender it. Where has our furniture vanished to? What has become of our wedding photos? She commanded with an intensity that pierced the air, her voice echoing like thunder in the silence. Shipped to your storage unit. I shot back, the weight of the words hanging in the air like a storm about to break. In a moment of sheer determination, I meticulously labelled the boxes, each one a testament to my resolve. Why would you dare to do this? She implored, her voice trembling with emotion. Silence enveloped the moment, a heavy weight of unspoken words hanging in the air. I chose not to respond. She knew, the weight of the revelation crashing down like thunder in the stillness of the night. Darren took a bold step into the fray, the air thick with tension. How utterly petty you are. You're utterly insane. No, I said, my voice trembling with the weight of the moment, a storm brewing in the depths of my soul. I've reached the breaking point of being a ghost in my own sanctuary. I shut the door with a whisper, the finality of the act hanging heavy in the air. Suddenly, the silence shattered as my phone erupted in a frantic buzz, demanding my attention once more. A chilling proclamation from Mark echoes through the silence. The offer has been sealed, the ink barely dry, a moment that could change everything. By the stroke of midnight, the payment shall be unleashed into the abyss of transactions. I surveyed the guest house, my heart racing with anticipation. Small, cosy, a sanctuary of warmth, where every corner whispers secrets of comfort and intimacy, beckoning you to lose yourself in its embrace. Serenity envelops the scene, a calm before the storm, where tranquility reigns supreme, yet whispers of turmoil linger just beneath the surface. At long last, it is mine. The moment has arrived, the culmination of all that has led to this breathtaking climax. The silence that enveloped me as I shut the door was a deafening roar, drowning out their furious cries. I stood in the heart of the small guest house, my heart racing like a wild beast, yet my hands remained eerily calm. For the first time in years, a wave of tranquility washed over me, a sensation so foreign yet profoundly powerful. It was as if the storm within had finally stilled, leaving only the haunting echoes of what once was. I approached the minuscule kitchen, my heart racing, and filled a glass with water, the liquid shimmering like a fleeting moment of clarity in a storm of chaos. Outside, the air crackled with tension as Emily and Darren's voices clashed in a fierce battle of wills. I was indifferent, a heart of stone amidst the chaos swirling around me. The noise, once a cacophony of chaos, faded into oblivion, leaving me in a haunting silence. It felt as though a door had slammed shut, echoing through the silence, sealing away all hope and light. Not merely to the house, but to a haunting reflection of myself that I had clung to for an eternity. As I took a tentative sip of the water, a flood of memories surged forth, pulling me back to the very beginning where everything changed, in the haunting shadows of what once was. In the shadowy depths of existence, there was a time, a haunting moment, that existed before Darren, before the guest house transformed into my confining cage. Emily was a tempest, a whirlwind of contrasts, a soul cloaked in shadows and light, forever changed by the tides of fate. She once called me Mommy, her smile a beacon piercing through the shadows of despair. We were perilously close, teetering on the edge of an abyss, where every heartbeat echoed with the weight of unspoken truths. So perilously close, it sends shivers down the spine. After her father's tragic departure from this world, I believed that the bonds of our connection would tighten, weaving an unbreakable tapestry of shared grief and solace. In the beginning, we were engulfed in sorrow, united in our shared despair. For an entire week, she lay in my bed, a haunting presence that lingered in the shadows of the night. In the dim light of the kitchen, tears streamed down our faces as we clutched steaming cups of chamomile tea, our hands trembling while we sifted through the remnants of her father's shirts. each fabric whispering memories of a life once lived. But Darren, the weight of his name hung in the air, a storm brewing in the silence, as if the very universe held its breath, waiting for the inevitable clash of fate. In a whirlwind of chaos and unexpected turns, Darren made his entrance just 2 months later, shattering the calm with his arrival. In the beginning, it was all so trivial, so inconsequential. I whispered to my soul, she craves solace in this tumultuous storm. Perhaps he is the one guiding her through the shadows of her pain, a beacon of hope in her darkest hour. But soon, the smallest of details began to shift, unraveling the fabric of reality itself. As he strode into the room, a palpable tension filled the air, and Emily, sensing the shift, instinctively hushed her voice, as if the very walls were listening. He would propose the most outrageous ideas, like securing the pantry with locks, or demanding that I knock before daring to step into their domain of the house. They plunged into a ruthless division, tearing apart every last thing. Rooms filled with secrets, groceries piled high like the weight of unspoken truths. Even time hangs in the balance, a silent witness to the unfolding chaos. In a moment that felt electric, Darren began to utter my first name, sending shivers down my spine, and Emily, with a heart pounding like thunder, let him. That wound sliced through my soul more than I ever could have imagined. In the shadows, I transformed into the unseen housekeeper, a ghostly figure weaving through the fabric of daily life, unnoticed yet ever present. Amidst the chaos of daily life, the relentless battle rages on cooking, cleaning, and the desperate struggle to keep the house warm, each task a testament to endurance and survival. And all the while, they meticulously orchestrated my erasure from existence. Then, on a fateful day, I caught a glimpse of Darren, his voice low and urgent, entwined in a clandestine conversation on the phone with an unknown figure. He erupted into laughter, a sound that echoed through the silence like thunderclaps in a storm. "Indeed, she remains," he declared with a heavy heart. "But the calm would shatter, and the storm would rise. Emily is tirelessly battling her inner demons." I stood paralyzed in the dimly lit hallway, straining to hear the whispers of fate unraveling around me. I stood there, a fortress of stoicism, refusing to let a single tear betray my resolve. I stood there, unyielding, as the chaos unfolded around me, my heart a fortress against the storm. Not a single tremor betrayed my resolve. In a moment of desperation, I conjured a plan, a scheme that would change everything. That fateful night, I frantically scoured every corner for the envelope my husband had entrusted to me before his untimely demise. He thrust it into my hands, a mere week before his last fateful journey to the hospital. "If anything happens to me," he declared, his voice trembling with urgency, "this is yours. Seize it in your moment of desperation." In that moment, I was utterly convinced it was merely another mundane update to the will. But alas, it was not to be. It was the act that would change everything. It is done. The ink has dried, sealing a fate unknown, a promise made in the shadows of uncertainty. Bound in silence, the fate is locked away, never to be revealed. Inside, a letter lay waiting, shrouded in mystery. "Do not allow anyone to snatch this precious thing from your grasp. Not even family. Oh, especially not family." Those words haunt me still, echoing in the shadows of my mind. Yet, I lingered in the shadows of uncertainty. I granted them a fleeting moment, a precious sliver of time, to awaken from their stupor and grasp the reality that lay before them, to finally see me as a person once more. Instead, they cast me aside, like a piece of luggage that had long overstayed its welcome, forgotten and unwanted. And thus, I embarked on my silent descent into the shadows. With a sense of urgency, I reached out to Mark, instructing him to quietly unveil the house to the select buyers I had deemed worthy. He stood at the precipice of decision, a storm of doubt raging within him. "Are you absolutely certain, Mother? Are you still trapped in that place?" "I'm not," I declared, my voice trembling with intensity. In the dim shadows of the shed out back, secrets linger like whispers in the night. And thus, the true saga unfolded. In that moment, as I lingered within the confines of the guest house, the echoes of Emily's furious cries pierced the air, igniting a tumultuous storm within me, a haunting blend of despair and an unyielding resolve. How could it have come to this? I never imagined it would all unravel in such a heart-wrenching manner. How could I have ever imagined that my actions would lead to such devastation? The weight of my choices hangs heavy in the air, a haunting reminder of the pain I never intended to inflict upon my beloved daughter. Yet, she cast me into a corner, leaving me with no options, no escape from the inevitable. Once more, my phone erupted with a jarring buzz, shattering the silence like a thunderclap in the night. A fresh narrative unfolds. Emily, mother, oh please, we must converse, for the weight of silence hangs heavy in the air. Only the two of us, entwined in a world of our own, where shadows dance and secrets whisper. The air thick with tension, every heartbeat a thunderous echo of our shared fate. What lies ahead is uncertain, but together we stand, defiant against the storm. I gazed at it, my heart pounding in my chest, as if the very air around me crackled with tension. My thumb lingered in the air, suspended in a moment fraught with tension. Then, with trembling fingers, I began to type. Convene with me at the cafe on Elm, where secrets linger in the air and fate awaits our encounter. Midday strikes with an ominous clang. No emojis allowed, no softness, only raw intensity, a fierce clash of emotions where every word cuts like a knife, leaving no room for gentleness. The air crackles with tension, and the heart races in anticipation of the storm that is about to unfold. If she desired to speak, we would engage in conversation. 2 hours later, I found myself perched at the small table by the window of the cafe, the world outside swirling with secrets and whispers. The very place we once roamed, back in the days when she was just a high school girl, filled with dreams and secrets. Once upon a time, her world revolved around the agonizing decision of which earrings would dazzle at prom. She burst through the door, breathless and defiant, the weight of her tardiness hanging heavy in the air. Shades firmly in place, lips sealed in a fierce, unyielding line. She sank into the chair opposite me, yanked off her sunglasses with a dramatic flair, and let out a heavy sigh that echoed the weight of the world. "I'm sorry," she exclaimed, her voice trembling with urgency. Silence hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. I chose not to respond. Little did I know. The shocking truth was that Darren had sent that message. I demanded he understand my desire for your presence, a plea laced with urgency and unspoken tension. I swear it. The weight of my words hangs in the air, thick with tension and unspoken truths. I arched my brow, a silent storm brewing within me. And when you realized my absence, did you even bother to send a message back? Will you dare to call me? Did you dare to inquire about my whereabouts? Her silence screamed through the air, a deafening roar that shattered the stillness around her. I raised the cup to my lips, the steam curling ominously around me, as I took a tentative sip of the dark, swirling brew. "Mother, behold!" she commenced with fervour. "He is, without a doubt, intensely focused on the intricate web of family dynamics. He hails from a world entirely apart. So am I declared with a chilling finality. And yet, not a single soul was cast aside from the sacred journey of our family vacation, especially not the one who footed the bill." Her face ignited with a fiery crimson hue. "I had no idea you harboured such feelings. You knew all along." In a moment of sheer resolve, I severed all ties with her. "You were utterly indifferent." Her eyes fluttered open, a moment suspended in time. "You transformed, Emily, and I clung to the hope of finding my little girl within you. But now, I stand here, trembling in the shadows of uncertainty, grappling with the haunting truth. I don't know who you are anymore." She cast her gaze downward, her hands trembling with the weight of unspoken secrets. Restless movements, a dance of anxiety and anticipation. "You really sold the house," she whispered, her voice trembling with disbelief. "Indeed. Where shall we venture next?" With a voice trembling on the edge of revelation, she dared to ask. At long last, our gazes collide, a moment suspended in time. Behold, you are bound in matrimony, shackled to a husband. Behold, you possess a law degree. You'll uncover the truth, I declared, with a weighty certainty that hung in the air like a storm cloud ready to burst. She uttered that same chilling phrase, the very one she had sent me in a moment of indifference when I reached out for assistance with the groceries. Emily's eyes sparkled with an intensity that could ignite the very air around her. I'm not heartless, she whispered, her voice trembling with a mix of defiance and vulnerability, as if the very air around her crackled with unspoken truths. Oh, the despair! I found myself adrift, utterly lost in a world that seemed to swallow me whole. Silence engulfed me, a heavy shroud of unspoken words. I stood there, paralyzed, my heart racing, yet my lips remained sealed, a storm brewing within, but no voice to unleash it. I had no need to do so. We lingered in a heavy silence, the weight of unspoken words hanging in the air like a storm about to break. Then, with a heart pounding like thunder, I rose to my feet. Text, I hope you find your way back, I said, my voice trembling with unspoken fears, the weight of the moment hanging heavy in the air, and I stepped into the abyss, leaving everything behind. On that fateful night, the phone rang, shattering the silence like a thunderclap in the stillness. It wasn't from Emily. From the depths of Mark's heart. Attention. The buyers are eager to meet you, and the moment has arrived. Will you rise to the occasion? In the twilight of their years, this seasoned couple stands on the precipice of a new chapter, their dreams of retirement shimmering just beyond the horizon, beckoning them to the embrace of this very area. In the depths of their hearts, a fierce passion ignites for the garden, a sanctuary where secrets bloom and shadows dance among the petals. It echoed the haunting familiarity of home. I smiled, a flicker of light in the shadowy depths of despair. Prepare for the unexpected. I emerged onto the minuscule guesthouse porch, my gaze piercing the vast, tumultuous sky above. Celestial bodies, shimmering in the vast abyss of night, whisper secrets of the universe, igniting the imagination with their distant glow. A gentle breeze whispers through the air, carrying secrets untold. In a world torn asunder, where chaos reigns supreme, a whisper emerges peace. A fragile, elusive dream that dances on the edge of despair, beckoning the weary souls to seek solace amidst the storm. Will it prevail, or will the shadows consume it whole? The fate of tranquility hangs in the balance, a tantalizing promise in a realm of turmoil. And then, a sound erupted from behind me, shattering the silence like glass, sending chills racing down my spine. A thunderous knock echoed through the silence. I turned slowly, the weight of the moment pressing down like a heavy shroud, each heartbeat echoing in the silence that enveloped me. Emily stood there, her hands trembling as they clutched a mysterious object, the weight of the moment hanging heavy in the air. It lay there, the old family photo album, a relic of memories long past, whispering secrets of joy and sorrow, a haunting testament to the lives once lived within its pages, the very thing I believed she had cast aside. May I enter this realm of yours? She demanded, her voice trembling with urgency. I gazed upon her, my heart racing, as the weight of the moment hung in the air like a storm about to break. The silence lingers, heavy and suffocating. I have not yet responded. I found myself frozen in the doorway, my gaze locked onto the photo album cradled in Emily's trembling hands. It was frayed at the edges, a testament to the battles it had endured. The leather cover, once pristine, now frayed and tattered, bears the scars of countless years, each turn of the page a haunting echo of birthdays celebrated, holidays cherished, and camping trips that linger like ghosts in the shadows of memory. She gripped it with a desperation that suggested it could shatter at any moment. Or perhaps, just perhaps, she could. Silence enveloped me, a heavy shroud of unspoken words. She, too, remained silent, a storm brewing beneath her calm facade. In the oppressive stillness that enveloped us, Only the haunting chirps of crickets and the eerie whisper of leaves dared to break the suffocating silence, amplifying the tension that hung thick in the air. "May I enter this sacred space?" she implored once more, her voice barely a whisper, as if the very air around her held its breath. With a heavy heart, I edged away, silence enveloping me like a shroud. She entered, as if crossing the threshold of a haunting recollection. Her eyes darted across the guest house, searching, probing, as if the very walls held secrets waiting to be unveiled. The diminutive table, a mere whisper of wood, stood alone in the dim light, its presence both haunting and profound. The compact sofa, a seemingly innocent piece of furniture, hides secrets within its plush cushions, waiting to unveil a tale of comfort and chaos. The books, meticulously arranged, stand sentinel by the window, each spine a silent witness to the unfolding drama of the day outside. This was no sanctuary for those seeking permanence. Yet, I had returned to the sanctuary of my home, even as she and Darren reigned over the main house like tyrannical landlords, their presence a constant reminder of my struggle. Emily perched on the edge of the sofa, clutching the photo album in her trembling lap, her heart racing with unspoken memories. "I found this in the storage unit," she declared, her gaze averted, as if the weight of her words could shatter the very air between us. In a moment of sheer disbelief, I found myself grappling with the haunting thought that Darren had, in fact, discarded it. I sat across from her, my posture unyielding, a silent storm brewing beneath the surface. "I thought so too," I replied, my voice trembling with the weight of unspoken truths. With trembling hands, she peeled back the cover of the album, each movement heavy with anticipation. The first page revealed a haunting image of her 3rd birthday, frosting smeared across her cheeks, a yellow ribbon precariously perched in her hair. Her father was crouching next to her, and they were both giggling. She said, "I miss him." My throat constricted. I told him bluntly that he would be disappointed. She didn't dispute. Rather, she flipped the page. She paused for a long moment before continuing. "Now I realize that you were always there. Everything seemed safe because of you." I responded, "Until Darren made you feel ashamed of me." Her gaze flicked to mine, but I kept my gaze fixed on hers. "Emily, you changed. You gave someone else the power to determine who should be in your life." Slowly. She nodded. I felt afraid. Of what? If I made a bad decision, I would be alone. I inhaled deeply. "You did make the incorrect decision, my love." The album made her hands shake. I was unaware of what I was doing. I initially believed that Darren was merely being protective. However, he then began to make choices for me, and I gave him permission. I convinced myself it was just temporary when I allowed him to push you out, that you had the strength to bear it. I answered that I shouldn't have had to be. Emily took a deep breath. "I don't think you'll pardon me. However, I wanted to let you know. I recall your identity." I gave her a look, glanced closely. She was not the cold woman who gave me the itinerary for our trip, and hardly said goodbye. That nasty text wasn't written by her. During thunderstorms, she was the girl who would crawl into my bed and fall asleep while clutching my hand. However, I was also more aware now. Betrayal cannot be erased by love. Silence cannot be broken by it. I whispered, "You're not alone in feeling abandoned. When your father died, I was also in mourning. And you allowed him to change you into someone I didn't recognize rather than supporting one another." "I understand," she muttered. "I am here for that reason. Not for the home, not for cash. I just wanted to apologize." A picture from her college graduation appeared as she opened it. That day came back to me. How? She neglected to bring an extra umbrella, so I stood in the rain for 2 hours. Why didn't Darren even offer his? "When you learned that I had sold the house, how did he respond?" I inquired. Emily smiled bitterly. He was enraged. Accused me of not keeping the situation under control. Said that I ought to have ensured that you moved it sooner. I gave a nod. What did you say too? I informed him that I was never in charge in the first place, and that perhaps he need to pack his belongings. My eyebrows went up. You abandoned him. Until I decided what I wanted, I advised him to stay with a friend. She raised her head once again. Now, what do you want? I inquired. I'd like to improve. I desire your return to my life, not because you pardon me. However, I wish to earn it. My chest ached from the harsh beat of my heart. I got up, went to the little bookcase, and took out a folder. I put it in front of her and said, "Here, your father left you the letter, the one included in the deed." With hesitation, her fingertips lingered over it. Slowly, she opened it and read the handwritten words her father had written. To my dear wife, you own this home and the life we created. Never allow someone to take away your voice, your space, or your position within this family, even if our daughter is involved. Remind her of your identity if she ever loses it. She shed a tear or two. She pressed the folder to her chest and closed it. She cried as she said, "I forgot. I lost my identity, as well as who you were." Slowly I nodded. I didn't. A pause occurred. Then, for the first time, Emily took in the guest house's surroundings. She whispered, "You've been here all this time." Waiting, yes, but not pleading. Her lips were quivering as she gazed at me. Now what? I paused to reflect. I told you to go home. Without him, discover who you are. You can return if you still wish to rebuild. However, not as someone who simply turns up out of fear, as someone who perseveres during difficult times. She gave a nod. Is it okay if I leave this here? She held up the photo album and asked. After pausing, I carefully removed it from her grasp. Indeed. She paused at the entrance and slowly got to her feet. I appreciate you opening it this evening. I didn't grin. I simply wished Emily a good night. She didn't say anything more before leaving. I held the photo album in my lap while I sat there in the silence. Like a blanket I hadn't worn in a long time, the weight of it, of years, of love, of loss, sank upon me. I flipped the page. She was dressed like a small sunflower in kindergarten, and I started crying for the first time in a long time. Not from suffering, though. Right after release. And I sensed the soft stirring of something coming back somewhere outside, behind the trees, past the shattered years. Warm, golden light seeped through the little guest house windows the following morning. My heart was restless, which was why I hadn't slept well, not because of noise or nightmares. Emily was home last night, perhaps to herself, as well as to the house. I sat and gazed out over the garden while holding a cup of tea. It was the same garden that my husband and I had planted 20 years prior. There, I had manicured the flowers and he had pulled weeds on early mornings. In the past, instead of lawsuits and stillness, we envisioned this house filled with grandkids and laughing. It was overgrown now. The fence sagged. Like it was attempting to get out, the jasmine had coiled around the gate. It was still mine, though. I gave Emily's words some more thinking. I desire your return to my life. I want to earn your forgiveness, not because you already do. For the first time in years, she told me the truth. Words are simple, though. It takes more to bring about change. My phone rang as I was in the middle of drinking tea. I looked down. The realtor, Mark. I replied. Good morning, Mark. Good morning. I apologize for calling so early, but I wanted to inform you that the buyers are very happy. The last payment was wired this morning. You're closed completely. I gave a quiet smile. Thank you. There's another thing, he said. Before they move in next week, they asked whether you would be open to meeting with them. They are interested in learning about the home's past, that they would love to maintain the garden in its current state. A knot formed in my throat. Yes, I replied. Inform them that I'd be delighted to meet. I sat there looking at the garden for a long time after I hung up. I used to hold Emily in my arms during thunderstorms, But now someone else would be sleeping in the bedroom, watering those roots, and entering via that gate. It was not a defeat. It was a liberation. My door was knocked on again at about noon. Half expecting to see Emily, I slowly got to my feet. But Darren was there when I opened it. His expression was taut and irate, but there was more to it than that. Fear, desperation. He stepped forward and said, "I need to talk." I extended a hand. "No. You must pay attention." Mid-step, he paused. "I told you that you had no right to invade any part of this property, especially since it is no longer ours." He appeared startled. "Did you sell it?" "Indeed. However, what about Emily?" He lost his temper. "How about me? That house is the result of our labor." "No," I responded coolly. "Darren, yes, I did. Emily also provided assistance. It was your home." He opened his lips to speak, but I stopped him. "You tricked her. She turned against her own mother because of you. You gave her the impression that I was an inconvenience, an old piece of furniture interfering with your idyllic life. It's unfair. The fact that you two lived like landlords while I resided in a little guest house for months is unfair. It's unfair that after paying for your trip, the woman who gave birth to and reared Emily was left with a text message, and it's even more unfair that you assumed I wouldn't defend myself." As though the truth were important, he took a step back. At last he murmured, "I'm not here to beg. I simply assumed you would be decent." I lowered my voice. "You were mistaken." He laughed sharply and resentfully. "Enjoy your small act of retaliation, then. You achieved your goal." "Darren, I didn't want retribution. I desired to be respected, and I decided on peace when I couldn't attain that." After giving me a lengthy look, he turned and left without saying anything more. Slowly, I shut the door. My heart was racing, but not out of terror, but rather out of a profound, trembling sense of relief. How long I had been suppressing my voice was unknown to me. Now it was back. I met the new homeowners that afternoon. They were a couple in their 62nd, with lovely grins, gentle eyes, and hands that seemed to still believe in seasons and soil. Together, we strolled through the garden. The woman touched the lavender bush and whispered softly, "This whole place feels like it was loved. We will handle it well." I grinned. All I ever wanted was that. When they got established, they invited me to tea. "Yes," I replied. It was an odd but pleasant feeling. The photo album was still on the coffee table when I got back to the guest house. I pulled it up and looked at the final page, which was a picture of Emily, her father, and me standing in front of the house. She was perhaps 11 years old. Her arms encircled us both, and her smile was broad and unfettered. There was another knock, this one quieter. Emily. With a tiny overnight bag, she stepped in. She said, "I asked Darren to leave. He is no longer there." I took a while to respond. Gently, she set the bag down. "I'm not interested in moving back in. It takes me a few days to reflect, to be by myself yet not totally alone." I observed her. She appeared different now, searching rather than broken. Perhaps that was sufficient for the time being. "You may remain," I said. "Thank you," she said in a whisper. We shared 2 mugs of cocoa as we sat side by side on the tiny porch later that evening. She added, "I want to help rebuild the garden." I nodded if the new owners would allow it. "We are able to inquire." For a while, we sat in silence. She rested her head on my shoulder, as she had done as a child. I also didn't feel like a guest in my own story for the first time in a long time. Once more, I felt like the author. The environment felt quiet the following morning. Not in a depressing or isolating manner. No, there was a calm silence, the sort that follows a storm. For once, there's no reason to be afraid of the fact that things will never be the same again. Across the garden, I watched dew sparkle while sipping a fresh cup of tea on the porch of the guest house. Emily was still inside, Last night, she had remained in the tiny bedroom, the one where I stitched a floral blanket for her while she was expecting our first grandchild, and the one with the wonky window. She still desired me in her life at that time. She was back here now. Not like a youngster, seeking solace from her mother. I wasn't sure how long she would stay, though, as a lady who had experienced her own brutality and was attempting to make a better decision, or whether we could ever return to our previous state. However, I was aware of this. She had changed in some way. Her eyes were filled with sorrow. I apologize. There was another thing, though. Humility. That was novel, and it was important. Behind me, I heard the creak of the door. Wearing one of my old cardigans that she must have discovered lying on the shelf, Emily went out with her hair knotted loosely. "Good morning," she replied in a gentle, slightly gritty voice. "Good morning." She sat down next to me in the vacant seat. Silently, we observed the birds as they fluttered around the branches. Then she said something. "Last night, I had a dream about my father." I kept my eyes off of her. I continued to look at the garden. "What was it?" he said. "By the rosebush," he stood. He was grinning. He remained silent. However, I sensed it, as if he were urging me to awaken. Slowly I nodded. "You have, I believe." She laughed a little, but her eyes were hazy. How I allowed things to get this far is beyond me. How I let someone else to make me feel so aloof and cut off from everything that was ever important to me. "Yes," I answered softly. "It takes place when fear twists love. When you are persuaded that being soft equates to weakness." Emily pulled the cardigan closer to her body. "Your mother needs to learn boundaries," he would say. "Or she's overly sentimental." I initially believed he was merely defending our personal space. I see now, though. I was getting smaller because of him. She faced me. "I also allowed him to shrink you." Between us, that admission weighed heavily. "You're not little, though." Just above a whisper, she added. "You weren't." I finally looked her in the eyes and grinned. "No," I replied. "I just quit shrinking to fit into places that weren't designed for me." She fought back the tears. Then a phone buzzed behind us. With a sigh, Emily took it out of her pocket. Darren was the one. She didn't respond. Rather, she gazed at the screen for a considerable amount of time before shutting it off entirely. Then she gave me a glance. "I'm finished." "Are you certain?" I inquired. Not in a critical manner, but with the composure of a lady who has witnessed far too many unfulfilled promises. "I'm sure," she said. "I feel clear for the first time in years." Together, we cleaned the garden all morning. She cautiously dug while kneeling next to the rosebush, similar to what I taught her when she was 6 years old. She grinned, despite her hands shaking because they weren't used to the task. "Mom," she said abruptly, "would the new owners allow us to have a farewell dinner in the backyard, in your opinion? One final night, for the sake of closure?" After a moment, I nodded. "Only if it's a celebration, may we inquire? No drama, no sympathy." She grinned. "Deal." She went to town that afternoon to get new items. I remained behind, sweeping the porch and gathering herbs. I had no intention of hosting anything in that yard ever again. However, this felt appropriate. A farewell to the house. A potential welcome to a novel experience. By nighttime, the table was arranged, the candles were flickering, and an ancient speaker was playing jazz. Emily had prepared the favourite meal of her father. Soup with lemon and rosemary. Chicken with lemon and rosemary. I started crying even with the smell. Her hands were soft when she served the dinner. We seldom talked. All we did was eat. Together. She took out the picture album once more after supper. We read the pages slowly this time, sitting side by side on the bench under the porch light. "Remember this one?" She pointed to a picture of herself splattered in muck from an unsuccessful tulip planting attempt as she inquired. I chuckled. "The worms were grinning at you. you claimed. No, I didn't. You did. On the reverse of the photo, I have it written. Another page was turned. And yet another. Until we got to the ones that were blank. She said, I want to fill these again. Alongside you. Beside the boys. We don't need to fabricate memories. I covered her hand with mine. That would be nice. Her head was resting on my shoulder. I am aware that it will require time to regain your trust in me, for me to have faith in myself. I said it would. This is a beginning, though. The new homeowners passed the fence at that precise moment. She gave a wave. She called and said, You two are welcome to come to the garden at any time. This place seems to be a part of you. Emily returned the wave. Thank you. Until the candles went out, we sat. Right up till the stars appeared. Until the air itself seemed to have become softer around us. Later, she turned to me and asked, Mum, what if I stayed? As I assisted her in carrying dishes back inside the hotel. Not at home, but with you, only for a time, until I stand up again. I looked at her face. She meant it. Comfort was not what she sought. She sought accountability, salvation. You may remain, I said. We share the area this time, though. No more splitting things up. Let's stop acting like we're strangers. She smiled sadly and continued. No more texts. I said. No more texts. Weeks went by, months after. Emily was hired by a downtown non-profit, one that assisted women in re-establishing their lives following unhealthy partnerships. She claimed to think of me whenever she spoke to someone who had been silenced, manipulated, or expelled. She began going to treatment. She began to recover. And the light returned to our home, our new home. The boys occasionally paid a visit. Like children, they had questions. Why do we no longer reside in the large house? Why is Daddy not present? Emily's response was truthful without being resentful. There were some unkind decisions he made, she would say. And we are choosing kindness now. Months later, Emily entered the kitchen one evening with a sealed envelope. What is this? I inquired. It's the paperwork for the little downtown cottage. I've been putting money aside. Just in case. I also wrote your name on it. I slowly opened it. You purchased a house for us? She gave a nod. My eyes filled with tears. You didn't have to battle for what I wanted for you. Something that belongs to you, since you are deserving of it. I gave her a hug. Closely. The antique photo album was on a shelf in the kitchen corner. It's filled now. Not only with memories anymore. However, there are times when things change. Forgiveness moments. Rebuilding moments. Something struck me that night as I sat at the window and watched Emily read to her boys in the adjacent room. It had nothing to do with the house. The vacation was never the main focus. It has nothing to do with Darren. It dealt with the distinction between boundaries and love, and how knowing when to say no is sometimes the greatest gesture of love. Maybe, just maybe, you open the door again when someone hears what you have to say and decides to return not with excuses, but with growth. But on your terms this time. Additionally, you leave it open this time so that the past can exit and the future can enter.